earths are critical for the transition to the zero climate goals that were set for 2050. The four key rare earths are what the whole world is chasing. They're called neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium, and terbium, and they make up 95% of the value of all rare earths sold in the world globally at the moment. And these rare earth elements go into what's known as permanent magnets, and permanent magnets are key in this energy transition and helping the world achieve net zero. They are used in consumer electronics, and we've seen massive growth over the last 6 years of EVs, which require permanent magnet motors, 3 to 5 kilograms per electric vehicle, and the wind turbines. Wind turbines also use permanent magnet motors, direct drive wind turbines, and these are key. And also you've got a very, very strong defense element. F-35 fighter jet takes almost half a ton of rare earth elements. An Abrams tank takes, I think, 2 to 3 tons of rare earth elements. They go into night vision goggles, heat-seeking missiles, missile guidance systems, submarines, and all sorts. So very, very strategic from a defense point of view. Plug-in hybrids, which is taking a bit of the slack from EV demand, is taken up by plug-in hybrids. And plug-in hybrids, even though they use less battery minerals, in terms of rare earth elements, they still use the same amount of permanent motors and the electric motors that you require for plug-in hybrids. So we don't mind, as an industry, whether EV sales are going through the roof or the plug-in hybrid sales are going, we still requires the same amount of permanent magnets in terms of kilograms per vehicle. There's hundreds and hundreds of gigawatts of wind turbine power being developed between now and 2040, and each wind turbine 3 megawatt wind turbine takes between 1 and 2 tons of permanent magnets per turbine. Between now and 2040, we see 1 billion robots being utilized to get full humanoid functionality, being able to move your head and hands and that. They're going from 38 motors to 78 motors, so they're doubling, and that's leading to increased permanent magnets and increased rare earths. And these effectively will be able to pour cocktails for you, tie your shoelaces, pick grapes and whatever, as well as going into industry. This is a new frontier of demand in the next decade, which we believe will outstrip the demand you see from electric vehicles. And then you're going to have eVTOLs, which is electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, which basically air taxis, drones, and so forth. In LA, to go from the airport to San Diego, it normally takes you an hour and a half in traffic. An eVTOL is going to take 8 minutes, and it's cost the same price as an Uber Black. Africa has got the potential to be a significant producer of rare earths, circa 10% of world demand. But projects in Africa, all rare earth projects generally, have a very, very long lead time. The average cradle to grave for a mining project, which is discovery to production, is 15 to 25 years, and rare earth projects are even more difficult. What we have in the Phalaborwa project, which I'll speak about, that Rainbow are involved in, is very different to your typical rare earth project, because we're not beset with those problems of high thorium or high uranium. Rainbow is pioneering the first commercial recovery of rare earth elements from phosphogypsum. Now, the phosphogypsum is the result of hard rock phosphate mining that we have at Phalaborwa at the moment. It's been mined by Phoscor for 60 years. They mine a hard rock deposit there. They concentrate it through a flotation process into a phosphate slurry, and that phosphate slurry for 60 odd years was pumped next door to a phosphoric acid plant. The last major owner of that phosphoric acid plant was Sasol, who we all know. That phosphate slurry was the feed for the phosphoric acid plant, where they added 2 key ingredients, sulfuric acid and heat, to create phosphoric acid. And the rare earths that were in the phosphate slurry were further upgraded in the phos acid sludge and the phosphoric acid plant, and then that phosphoric acid production created a gypsum waste residue, and the rare earths deported with the gypsum in a concentrated form into the gypsum stacks. And now we have an economic sort of grade of rare earths sitting in the gypsum stacks at Phalaborwa. You've got the old open pit that was mined for many years just to the east. Here's just old Phoscor and PMC, which is the Phalaborwa mining company, the old copper mines tailings project. Over here you've got the old Sasol phosphoric acid plant that's been mothballed, hasn't been operating for 10 years now. And over there you can see that slight sort of color there, that's yellow. That's the old sulfur stockpile, because they had a sulfuric acid plant here which fed the phosphoric acid plant, with the slurry that was pumped in, the phosphate slurry, to create phosphoric acid, which is your key ingredient into fertilizer. So this fed the Sasol's fertilizer business, or one of the feeders of Sasol's fertilizer business. And they created these two gypsum stacks. The gypsum stacks are unlined because 60 odd years ago there were no environmental regulations that said you had to line these stacks. So these stacks are unlined and actually environmentally unfriendly at the moment. Rainbow's project is going to clean this all up, and it's very environmentally friendly. It's a brownfield site, it's already fenced, we've got overhead power line here, we've got a high voltage switch yard sitting over there. Next door you've got PMC, which is the old Rio Tinto copper mine. They've got a sulfuric acid plant, and they've got about 10,000 tons of sulfuric acid a month to get rid of. Rainbow's going to require about 4,000 tons a month. So we've got very, very, very cheap source of sulfuric acid, which is a waste stream from PMC, which is also turns us into also very strong ESG credentials as we're using waste in a constructive way. I got involved in late 2020 to secure this acid for Rainbow, because I realized that the rares in the phosphogypsum were very high grade. So the rares in this phosphogypsum stack sit at 0.44% total rare earth oxides, which sounds low, but we've got no mining costs here. If you look at ionic clay deposit, which they mine in China, they mine in Myanmar, and they're trying to develop around the world, those ionic clay deposits are 0.04 to 0.08% TREO. So we by the order of 6 to 10 times higher grade than the ionic clay deposit. And the reason why our footprint is against ionic clay deposits is ionic clay deposits have very, very low mining costs, and they leach the rare earths directly with sulfuric acid, similar to what we do here at Phalaborwa. So when we compare ourselves to ionic clay deposit, it's a far more robust project, because grade is everything in this type of project. We then went and built a pilot plant with Mintec, and this is a large-scale pilot plant at Mintec. Now, normal mineral processing pilot plants run at about 2 to 5 kilograms an hour of feed. At Mintec, we were 20 kilograms an hour of feed. So it's sort of 6 to 10 times the size of a normal pilot plant. And you can see from the size of the equipment and next to those guys who are looking at the pilot plant, the size of the tanks and so forth, this is a large-scale pilot plant. We've achieved 96% purity, but we are now bringing this pilot plant from America once again back to South Africa into Mintec, where we're going to optimize our separation from the 96% purity to the 99+% purity, using the experience that we have at Mintec, and Rainbow is also very, very experienced and dedicated team. So we see ourselves having lots of support by Mintec, and we will have this pilot plant running in sort of January, February. This back-end pilot plant will be running just to prove that final stage separation. We believe this is one of the most resilient rare earth projects in the world. There you can see we ran a trial reclaim on the phosphogypsum in February this year very successfully, so we proved we could reclaim it hydraulically. The resource is 35 million tons, which is going to give us 16 years, so it's a very good project. What's very important is the neodymium praseodymium. The two key elements that go into permanent magnets make up almost 30% of our basket, which is one of the highest baskets for neodymium and praseodymium of any rare earth project in the world. We're going to produce circa 1,850 to 2,000 tons of these four rare earth elements. That makes us a significant producer, and OPEX per kilogram of separated rare earth oxides we believe is the lowest of any project in the West, and we believe even below the cost of the Chinese. At the moment, no rare earth projects in the world are making money at current rare earth pricing. Even Chinese producers have said that they were losing money. This was about 2 months ago, when rare earth prices for neodymium and praseodymium were sitting at about $47, $48 a kg. Even at that low price, Rainbow would have been profitable if we'd been in production. Rare earth prices have since recovered slightly. They're sitting at about $60 a kg for neodymium and praseodymium. There's two key permanent magnet elements. But in 2022, they were sitting at $180 a kg. So the market's way off from where it was in 2022. But all the forecasts are for rising rare earth prices. We're rehabilitating the site at Phalaborwa. We are going to be reclaiming this phosphogypsum. We're going to be using the acid water that's associated with the stacks from the phosphoric acid production, neutralizing that water and using it in the closed circuit in our process plant. The clean gypsum will then be deposited on a line stack site to IFC standards and equator principles, and we're going to be selling the clean gypsum into the South African gypsum market. The audience might not be aware, but in the next 2 to 3 years, all the sources of natural gypsum in South Africa are mined out, and therefore this asset at Phalaborwa becomes a very, very good source of gypsum for the South African gypsum market for the next 30 odd years. We're going to be getting silica from phosphor. It's also a byproduct. It's a waste product, in fact. Now they're very happy that we're going to be using silica in our process. We really will be a circular economy, and over the life of those phosphate gypsum stacks, eventually they will be completely level with the ground, complete rehabilitation of that site in Phalaborwa, which not many projects can claim. We're obviously going to, it's a brownfield site. We're going to be re-employing, hopefully a lot of the employees that lost their jobs when Sasol was forced to close that phosphoric acid plant, and we'll be obviously training new skills and doing what we can for the environment. So we believe we're going to add a lot of social value to the town of Phalaborwa and to the environment generally. We also have some strategic partners. We have the US government has been able to identify this asset in South Africa as a key asset for independent source of rare earths. We secured $50 million of funding for construction finance when it comes to of equity funding. We have TechMet, which is a critical minerals fund funded by the DFC in the US and 12% of Rainbow. And recently we did a royalty deal with Ecora. We raised $10 million to complete our DFS and our pilot work. And what's important is both of these companies did independent due diligence on Rainbow's flow sheet, which, as I said, we've developed jointly with Mintech, and we got full marks, which is why we were able to raise the money. Not only the DFC's money, but TechMet's 12% and Ecora's $10 million. So we've got very strong stakeholders and a very, very strong tick of DD that says that they believe that Rainbow are going to be very successful.